powerful strike, but it was not enough to get all 3 points against Morocco. One of the most eagerly anticipated group stage matches here at the World Cup. Some of the headlines in Brazil reading: avoided embarrassment, disappointment in debut. Curious to get your thoughts on this one, Ali. We haven't heard from you. Here's Ancelotti, first of all, here saying maybe the team was a bit anxious and the nerves were all over the place. The second half was better, but it was still tough, and I'm sure we'll get better. In the first half, we were very unbalanced. We did better in the second half. The result isn't bad. You don't win the World Cup in your first match. It's the first time we're hearing from you, Ali Moreno, on this game.
It's a glass half full from Carlo Ancelotti, which you would expect him to be. The sort of doom and gloom that people want around Brazil, I don't think that would help the team if Carlo Ancelotti took that approach. So it's expected that he would be a little bit more positive. What I would say is what was frustrating in watching Brazil play is something that we already knew coming into the World Cup, that was a limitation for them, but it was very much a limitation yesterday. The outside backs are not a presence in the attack whatsoever.
When have we ever said that about Brazil?
At all. And let me just take you to the other side of the field and think about how important Hakimi is for Morocco and how much he gets forward and how influential he is in the attack for Morocco. And I have to imagine, I don't know this for certain, I haven't talked to Achraf Hakimi, we haven't had a one-on-one conversation, but I'm sure that part of what influenced his game as a right back, as an attacking right back, is watching a guy like Dani Alves. Maybe he's too young to have watched Cafu. Hopefully he did. But that's what you saw from Hakimi is what you would see from Dani Alves, is what you would see from Cafu. You're not seeing it from anybody on the right-hand side from Brazil. You're not seeing from Douglas Sant on the left-hand side. And so it really becomes a team that depends very heavily on whether Vini Jr. can have a moment or two of brilliance, and whether Rafinha can run in behind and find some sort of moment. They're not creating enough out of the midfield. They're not creating enough out of wide areas, and so it becomes about the individual in a moment of transition, hopefully creating something for Brazil. And this is what they were throughout qualifiers. They had issues in qualifiers because they didn't have enough creativity. They were not dynamic enough. They were not explosive enough. And they are vulnerable defensively because through the midfield, they have some legs that are unable to cover the space. What we saw against Morocco is similar to what we saw throughout qualifiers, so it should not be a surprise.
So you're preaching concern. Jurgen Klinsmann, we saw Carlo Ancelotti preaching calm. Where do you stand?
No, I think Ale is absolutely right. The fullback positions are there. I think to talk about also the midfield line, obviously up front with Rafinha and Vinicius Juniors, you can always hurt any team in the world. But I also kind of on the side from Carlo Ancelotti saying, you don't win a World Cup in the first game. I think it was important that they showed a solid, a decent performance to get into it, because they were definitely nervous. They were a little bit anxious of getting into that tournament after the last couple of years. Everybody was offloading on Brazil because they left in the quarterfinals in Qatar, which actually had a very, very good showing in Qatar in that tournament. So I really think that this team can grow, and they find solutions. And Carlo Ancelotti is maybe doing same move as Jogi Löw did in Brazil in 2014. He put then two center backs as a left back and a right back, and just kind of shut the door basically, and the rest was done then by the attacking players. I think he has that experience to maneuver the team through the group stage step by step, and then obviously once they get their first couple of goals under the belt, it is a team that can really do well this tournament. So I'm still have the hope that they're going to be the winner of the tournament.
This is his first sort of venture into international football, isn't it? Mm. But for some reason, as you were reading every word he said there, I fully believe it. I fully believe that's how he's seen things. Mm. And maybe some of this is due to, I don't know whether you can call it trauma or just memory of Real Madrid doing this every single year, it feels like, in the Champions League. But he's right. You don't win the tournament after this first game. And the example that was used, I think it was about USA a few days ago, was Argentina losing Saudi Arabia at the last tournament. Mm. What a terrible start that was for them. For Brazil, they've gotten a point. And you know that they can get better. The team is obviously flawed. And you've mentioned the point about, say, the fullbacks, the fact that, you've got Igor Thiago playing as the 9. I didn't think he was great in that game, to be honest. Mm. But I think if we're going to talk about positives that existed within that match, I think quite a few people, as the game was developing, probably thought this was going to be Morocco's game. The second half was very much Brazil being in control. And it wasn't like the best version of Brazil we've ever seen. But neither was it for Morocco. So I think the job that they've ended up doing on them shows that the more defensive and solid part of the game that they can establish it does give them a chance. And with the quality that they have in terms of the forward line, when it needs to be there, I think that can make it.
Will Neymar be a real addition if he can get back fit and healthy for you?
This feels like genuine slander to say no, but I think at this moment in time, if he was to come in, who is he playing instead of? You know, that's the thing. If
you get a fit and healthy Neymar for 20 minutes,
again, who's he coming on for? Who are you going to take? You're going to take off Vinicius Junior for him? Are you going to take off Rafinha for him? Like, I don't see those being the changes at this moment in time.
I suppose it depends on the game state, right? Jurgen, where do you stand on this with Neymar?
Yeah, absolutely, he's a weapon. I mean, because he's frightening the opponents. I mean, if Neymar steps on the field, it's Neymar. You know, and the other team will trying to figure out, okay, what role is he playing now? Is he, or how fit is he really? So many question marks. Yeah, that the tricky part is, you know, who you to take out, but you've got to pick one of the top, the front four in that moment, and that player that goes off, they will not be happy in that moment. But it's still you bring on somebody that is unpredictable for himself and for the opponents.
And believe me that we did not plan the fact that there was a siren in the background when you mentioned Neymar coming in as a guy saving Brazil. But that's exactly what it would be. It would be alarming status for Brazil if you're depending on a guy who has a bad calf to begin with, who hasn't been productive for Santos, who has had a difficult time, for him to be the guy that is going to prop up this national team.
What if how good would that look for Carlo Ancelotti, right? Who brought him in when a lot of people felt he wouldn't, and if he was to produce. It's a big case of what if, but it's Neymar we're talking about.
Well, no, you're trying to make a case as if you're Neymar's agent, but
is he not? Do we know that he's not?
He's not.
You don't know me that.
We know that he's not.
Well, okay. Look, let me put it to you this way. If Brazil are having to depend on Neymar at this point of his career with the physical limitations that he has, I'm not making it up. He didn't play and wasn't available to play because he has a calf injury. But they're depending on him to be the guy that saves his team. They have bigger issues. And when it comes to bigger issues, one of the things that we said were a strength for this team was the center back pairing. Two guys who started the Champions League final, Marquinhos and Gabriel. Look at the goal of Morocco. It's a straight ball in between the two center backs. That cannot happen. So if you don't have a whole lot of dynamic movement and explosion going on in the attack, and your center backs are being split by a straight ball right through the middle of your two center backs, then you have bigger issues than whether Neymar is playing or not.
I thought you said this was a positive show.
No, it's just
This is positive. This is positive.
This is factual information. We're just putting knowledge out there. That people can take it or not, and that includes Neymar's agent.
Jurgen Klinsmann, top class as always.
All right.
Thanks a million for joining us here on ESPN FC.
I just want to add, you know, the dynamic during a World Cup comes from the inside. The dynamic comes from the team, from the players, how they gel right now, how they build a chemistry, and how they start to figure out also solving their problems themselves. It's not only Carlo Ancelotti solving Brazil's problems, you know, and he cannot reinvent, you know, the game in Brazil, and he will never do. But there is something extra that I as a coach, I would love to have extra card to play called Neymar. You know, and maybe he's not the fittest right now, but he's just a kid that kind of confuses everybody then. But you don't know the energy that he creates within the Brazilian locker room. So we don't know that. Unfortunately, we would love to know it. But this is on a daily basis, basically, there's a whole team together for 5 or even 7 weeks with the preparation. And if they create a specific dynamic and support each other and are there for each other, and if this Brazilian team goes behind Neymar and says, you know what, you're not in the best of your shape and this and that, but, you know, you can do some special things if, you know, you choose to. So, and then support that, and the locker room supports that, then, I mean, maybe not right now in the group stage, but there comes a knockout phase. Maybe there comes a extra time, because these teams will go, if they go all the way till the end, they're going to go through at least 2 penalty shootouts. Because now with round of 32, you have 5 knockout phase games. So, and I can throw in the 88th minute Neymar for 32 minutes with the extra time and scoring me a penalty at the end then too. Well, I take him blindly.
Oh, you're getting me fired up.
This sounds like a man who picked Brazil to win the World Cup. That's what that sounds like.